Remember, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. And this was pretty amazing. The interview is a little bit on the long side, but let's listen to this. This is a guy named Meir Baruchin, I think it is. He is a history and civics teacher. He posted on Facebook about his opposition to the killing of innocent Palestinian civilians.
For most Israelis, Palestinians are really vague images. They have no names, no faces, no family, no hope, no plans. And I'm trying to give them names and faces, introduce them to Israelis, so more Israelis would be able to see Palestinians as human beings. So that's what I do in my Facebook. The police didn't like it, so they arrested me.
And when you were arrested, what was the substance of the interrogation against you during that time, and how were you treated?
On November 9th, I got a call from the police to come over for interrogation on sedition. I called my lawyer, and he said that in order to interrogate an Israeli citizen for sedition, they need an approval from the general attorney. The police did ask for approval, but was rejected. So they decided to interrogate me for intention to commit an act of treason and disrupt public order. The minute I walked into the police station, they shackled my hands and legs, and they showed me a warrant to search my house. 5 detectives took me to my house and ransacked the place. Then I was taken back to the police station for the first interrogation that lasted 4 hours. After that, I was taken to the jailhouse. I was, like you said, I was categorized high-risk detainee, separated from everyone. I wasn't allowed to bring anything with me, a book or something. I spent there 4 days in order not to go crazy. I exercised every hour and a half, 2 hours. On Sunday evening, November 12th, they took me for a second interrogation, and their technique was, it wasn't really asking questions, it was more of a rhetoric. When you install the answer inside the question, you don't really let the other person choose his own answer. For example, they said something like, as someone who justifies and legitimizes the rapes of Hamas people on October 7th, don't you think that, that was their technique? Also in my second interrogation, at a certain moment, they said that my Facebook posts are just like the protocols of the elders of Zion. Now, I'm a history teacher, so I asked them, did you ever read the protocols of the elders of Zion? There was no comment. I was taken back to the jailhouse, and on November 13th, I was released by the judge, and still they kept me in the jailhouse for another 3.5 hours.
And what has been the response of fellow teachers in Israel and of the press to your arrest and detention?
Most of mainstream media embraced the statement of the police spokesman who accused me as justifying and legitimizing the rapes committed by Hamas people on October 7th. As for my colleague teachers, hundreds of them are telling me, Meir, I'm fully behind you, but I have children to support. Meir, I'm with you, but I'm paying a mortgage. Meir, I'm with you, but my daughter is getting married. Meir, I'm with you, but we just started to redecorate the house. They are afraid to speak up. They are afraid to lose their jobs. They see very clearly that these days, Israeli citizens who are showing the slightest sentiment towards the people of Gaza, opposing killing of innocent civilians. They are being politically persecuted. They go through public shaming. They lose their jobs. They are being put in jail.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a reason that I think people are starting to play catch up with some of the new historians that we had Ilan Pappy on, and the other Avi Shleim, who are basically like dissidents essentially because they were excommunicated from Israeli public life for expressing these exact kinds of more humanist sentiments.
Well, yeah, the theory there, the timeline that Pepe and Shleim talk about is like in the 90s during the post-Oslo period, there was an openness to confronting the documents and the actual like history of, say, 48 and things like that. And another one of the new historians, Benny Morris, there was three of them sort of famously, and Morris later turned after the Second Intifada saying, I've changed my mind. And Shleim has a good line on that saying he used to have the courage of his convictions, and now he has the courage of his prejudices. But yeah, when I see people like this, like these people are as righteous as anybody in the world right now. And if we won't speak for the Palestinians, the folks like Biden and they need to, America itself broadly needs to speak for this sort of sentiment, because it's not like these people are going to be crushed if we don't, like this guy is, and held in solitary confinement. If we just continue this broad, we stand with Israel and finish the job and whatever other, and let's put the Brandenburg Gate in the colors of the Israeli flag. Like, we need to be standing for what's right here, like people within Israel are, and paying the price for it.
Yeah, and like I saw some accusations or some discourse about how the highlighting of groups like Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now is tokenism. And I would push back against that strongly. The reason that I think that, yeah, it was a dumb comment, but like just to address it, I mean, the reason that I think a lot of people are highlighting Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now is because anybody who is not Jewish by Zionists is called anti-Semitic for calling this out. And there's a real bias against Palestinian and Arab voices in the mainstream press. So it's strategic to highlight Jewish Voice for Peace, and the activists within, I've spoken to a few, including a friend of mine, the activists who are doing these actions at Jewish Voice for Peace are acutely aware of their role in trying to highlight the plight of the Palestinian people.
Of course. And on top of which, just from the perspective of a Jewish person who doesn't want their Judaism to be hijacked by Zionism, it's also like there is a fundamental sort of like desire not to have this done, supposedly because it's providing some type of protection for me as a Jew. On top of the sort of the broader reasons why, just the sheer the strategic and the sheer sort of like human reasons why you would protest a killing like this, or the killing that's going on there.
I mean, it really, just the presence of Jewish Voices for Peace really undermines a core propaganda tenet by Israel right now. And you see it like with all these, like, I mean, like Candace Owens is a horrible example, but she's also very stupid, and she's operating on a level like I think a lot of people are. And it's like, she's like, I'm very confused to see like Jewish students opposing this. And it's like, yes. Yeah, Candace, like you're confused for a reason. It's not just because,
yes.
But it's that's
you're anti-Semitic.
That's a product.
It's a core brand proposition.
And what those groups are doing are fraying the propagandistic connection between Jewish people and Zionism, and that is an existential threat to like the far right Israeli government, and that's why it's dismissed as tokenism, because of the threat that it poses.
Because I'd rather just be saying, look at all these Palestinian student activists and their terror support.